and welcome to the Node Editor tutorial series, part number 29. My name is Pavel from blenderfreak.com, and today in this part we are going to fill up the new window for our calculator example. We are going to refactor the menu and actions so we can reuse the file and edit menus we were using before. We will also append the window from the example code and help with an awesome about box. Also, we are going to create a docking window, which is right here. So this one works also, and if you can see, when I close the application, we are up and running without an exception, and when I press play, we are opening the window on the same position as we were closing it with the same size. So I hope you are excited, and let's start coding and refactoring. First of all, we want to set up our Init UI function, and let's have a look at the example. Basically, we are going to use same code as is here. There is no point of rewriting that again, so I will just Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V that here. We don't know what QSignal mapper is, so from pyqt5.qtcore import everything. For us, the MDI area will stay. This will stay also. Then we want to create actions, create menus, toolbars, etc. Update menus and read settings as set the window title. Let's call that calculator node editor example. Let's import our node editor window from node editor.node editor window, import node editor window, and let's extend this one instead of the Q main window. We got an error in the init function, and I guess if we have a look here, we don't need to care about this at all. So I will just delete this overridden function. Calculator window doesn't have attribute update menus. So let's define all of the missing functions here. The next one is set active sub window, and for that we can go back to the MDI and try to find set active sub window. The function is located here at the end, so I will just copy that. Next function is create actions. And I guess create actions should be already here. So let's define create actions in the node editor window itself, and then just pass for now. Let's try it again. We don't have create menus, so we will go to the calc window and create a function here. So define create menus and pass. Next one is create toolbars. And pass again. There is a capital B. Okay. Create status bar. And this function should be pretty simple. That should be self.statusbar show message, and we can say ready. So we don't have read settings, and also we don't have write settings. So back in the MDI we can find read settings and write settings, which are here. I will copy them, and we will definitely use that in the calculator window, and also I guess it would be nice to have it available in the node editor window. So I will go back here at the end. I will paste these functions here. We don't know Q settings and Q point and Q size. Therefore we need to import Qt core like this. Now we know what's going on, and I will go to the init function and say self dot name company equals to, let's say, Blender Freak, and self.name product gonna be calculator node editor. Therefore we got two variables, we can use them here. Self.name company and product. I can just copy these two and paste them here. The default product will be just node editor, or we can just override them in the Init UI. So I will copy them. I will go to the Init UI. The read setting is just here. Before everything, I'm going to set it as calculator node editor. Now when I run the application, we got a window with the status bar, nothing else. So this one is running already, or not. It's crashing. Let's check out the node editor. And this one is running. Nice. The next thing I want to see in the application is the docking window or the docking bar with a list of all available operations. Therefore, I will go up here in the Init UI and call self.create nodes doc. Copy this function name and let's define it. And this function is going to contain self.listWidget equals to qListWidget, and just simply for now self.listWidget.addItem. Let's add something, some function called add, subtract, multiply, divide. Then to create a new docking window, we are going to say self.items equals to qDocWidget nodes, and self.items.setWidget is gonna be self.listWidget. And we do want to disable floating by default. So self.items.floating is false, and we do want to open the docking widget in the right dock area, so self.addDocWidget. Here we are writing the position, so that's qt right dock widget area, and we are going to say self.items because that's the name of our qdoc widget. Let's try play. Okay, I need to switch back to the calculator, and now when I press play, you can see we got awesome dock window on the right, and we can move it left, right, even bottom, top, or we can keep it separated from the application. And I guess the crashing is occurring because we got node editor window here, and we got the close event. We are asking maybe self, and we are checking if self is not modified. And for that we are checking the center widget, which is not set, because basically we are overriding completely our Init UI function where we do create the node editor itself and setting the central widget. So therefore, when we go to the close event itself, it crashes completely. So I will copy this function from here and paste it here in the calculator window. And I can just do a quick test and try event.accept and return. Now press play. I close the window and you can see the process finished with exit code 0. But actually a good way how to handle these exceptions which are occurring and crashing all of the Python could be a little bit different. In the first place, it's needless to realize that Python is crashing just because we are calling C++ code in the Qt5 when using pyqt5 from Python. So therefore, if some action is being called from C++ and it raises error somewhere inside the C++ code, or it goes through our Python code and it crashes, then Python will crash completely. So we can try to avoid that, and we can just write try, and all of this code we are going to put into the try except, and we are going to accept any exception as E, and when some exception occurs we are going to try to write out what did happen actually. So print just E for now. Now when I close, QMDI area object has no attributes seen, which is the exception which actually happened, and therefore Python, because we accepted the event anyways by default, managed to finish with the exit code of 0. If we want to have more information about our exception, there is an awesome module, and we can just import traceback, and we can print out the traceback with traceback, print traceback, and ask for the actual exception, which is E traceback. Now when I press play and close it up, you can see we got QMDI area object has no attribute. That's our print of the exception, and here is the call stack of what has been actually called. And we can use it more than often to check out for any parts of our code which is causing the crash of Python. So we can create something a little bit more useful. We can go here to the node editor and create the new Python file and call it utils. And I will just cut this import traceback line, put it into the utils, and create a new function. Define dump exception, and we will pass E as the exception. Here we will definitely do this one, and we can also print the exception, and we can say exception and then the message itself. So now I can basically delete all of this. I can go to the top and from node editor .utils import dump exception, and anytime I want to try some code I can just put it into the try and accept exception as E, and if something happens I can just type dump exception E. Now when I press play and close up the window, you can see we got exception, we got the traceback, so we can navigate throughout the code what actually happened and see it much more cleaner. For now I will leave the close event as it is, and we will go to the node editor window itself and we will try to refactor our actions. So here I do want to change it a little bit, and I do want to say or call self.createActions, and I will copy each of the actions here we are creating into the new method here. So self.action act new equals to this one. And let's do that for everything. Okay, now we are done, and we need to assign all of these back to the top. So self action new, I will just copy that and rename it accordingly to the names of the actions. Inside our calculator window, we got update menus and create menus. So I will copy this function. I do want to use that here in node editor window. So after creating actions, we are going to create menus. So let's just copy all of this code here. Here we can write self.create menus. And we can paste it here. We are going to say self.file menu and put all of it here. The same is gonna be for the edit menu. We don't know the menu bar, and menu bar is here. So we can clean that up like this. Let's test if we didn't broke anything. Here is edit, file, everything works. Let's go to the calculator. This one works also. And now in our calculator window, when we are creating menus, we can say super create menus, and the same thing for the actions. So let's copy this one and override the create actions and call the parent constructor or the parent function create actions. Now when I press play, I do see file edit, and we can extend freely the menu here, and we don't need to rewrite everything we have written in the basic for the file at edit, and we can just extend or override whatever we need to do in the calculator window itself. Okay, and to fix our close event, I'm going back to the example here, and let's have a look how the close event is being implemented here in the example. We are going to close all sub-windows, and if there is no sub-window, we can just accept and write the settings. So let's copy this function here. Let's go to the calculator window. I will paste it here. Yes, we should have the self MDI area. So let's try play. And we are supposed to not have a crash. Exit code 0. We should already write the settings. So let's start it again, and our window should appear on the same position as we close it. And it does, which is awesome. Okay. And let's extend our menu and actions. So from the MDI, let's have a look at the create actions. We got new, open, save, etc. And here are the window actions, which I do want to use. Here is also special action called separator for the open window and the about. So I will copy all of these lines. Let's go to the calculator window, and here we are going to use create actions, call the parent here, and let's create the new one for the window and for the help, and everything else should be the same. So I will just clean that to one single line, Every action triggered here in the window is calling MDI area close active subwindow, etc. And as you can see, the example is also using the Q key sequence dot or something, which is by default set up for the shortcuts, which are mainly or most commonly used, but it actually doesn't matter if you write it like we did here, just with Ctrl N and something. Maybe I do want to get rid of the self.createAction, so instead of self.createAction, I will press Ctrl R to replace what I have selected, and I'm gonna replace it with Q action and just replace. Here next we do have the label, then we need self, so let's copy that. Here is the status tip. Next one is triggered, and I believe we are missing one for the shortcut. Okay, let's have a look. Here's the shortcut equals to key sequence. So I copy that one and just paste it everywhere. Also, we can delete this line. Let's try our Node application. Everything is working. Awesome, and therefore I guess we got successfully rid of the create ACT method. Let's check it out. Press Alt F7 and there are no usages found in all places. So now we can get rid of this action here. We did that for a simple reason, because we are using the create actions and we don't need to add a new function which is a shortcut for something which could actually be passed like this in the constructor. So therefore, the less code, the less bugs, and less new things to read for the new users. So let's test the calculator itself. This one doesn't work yet. We can go here to the about action and there is no about action. So let's go to the MDI, find the about action, which is here, and that's gonna be just simply a queue message box about. So let's go to the calculator, copy this function here, about calculator node editor example, and the calculator node editor example demonstrates how to write multiple document interface application using Qt and node editor. For more information, visit, and we can even write hypertext links here. So I will just put a link to my website. We can try to run it again. Okay, this runs, but we don't see the menu. And for that, we are going to go for the create menus, which is here. Let's go to the MDI. Here is create actions and here is create menus. And the file we got already. Okay, edit, we already did that. And here is a window and help. So let's copy this part, go to our calculator window. We are going to use what we have written for the file and edit, and we are going to append window. So here is update window menu, which is not defined yet. So let's do an empty function for that. Update window menu, and we will just say pass. Then we wanna have separator here, and so about Qt doesn't exist. So let's try play. Here is window, it is empty, and here is help about, and now even the about dialog for the calculator node editor is example of using Qt and node editor. Okay, so just add PyQt5, and for more information I do wanna keep it as it is. Let's quickly have a look what we can do with the update window. And in the MDI there should be a function called update window menu, which is here, and we can basically copy all of the content here because we are going to reuse that in the calculator window also. Here is our update window menu, so instead of pass I'm copy pasting the code from the example. All of this should be running. Also the windows equals to MDI area sub window list. Everything should be okay, but here I guess we don't have child user friendly current name and stuff like this, so for now temporarily I will disable this code like this. Let's try to run it, and in the window we got at least something for now. Okay. And the last thing I wanna refactor is the status bar. If we have a look, we got create status bar here, which is pretty simple, and I will copy this even to the node editor window. We can put it somewhere here, I guess, and I will just select everything here. Okay, for that to work, I just need to write self.create status bar and say self.nodeEditor, and here in the status bar I can call self.nodeEditor view changed. Let's try the calculator. Works. Let's try the node editor, and it works also. So this one should be done. And I believe this is gonna be everything for this part. Thank you for watching and see you at the next part.